John, thank you for those amazing words. At least I'll walk away with something tonight, and that's a bobblehead that I would never have thought that I would ever get tonight. So that's absolutely amazing. As I prepared something to say tonight, so many basketball stories kind of came to, rushing through my head as far as back to St. Olaf, and so many great people that have helped me get here, so many family members that have helped me get here, all the great coaches that I had growing up in Hastings. I had so many great coaches. Coming to St. Olaf, I was fortunate enough to play for Dave Buss for all 4 years, where that patented one-handed free throw came into play. John, I still think I might have you on that one, though. So. But, Dave was a great coach. He really taught me to be a versatile player. He really taught me how to change my game and really add dimension, which was absolutely amazing. As I think back about to all those great basketball influences I had, I think there's one fundamental building block that really helped kind of propel me to my basketball career as well as my life. I had a coach in 9th grade. His name was Jake Moore. And Jake had a very unique sort of perspective on the game of basketball. See, Jake, he kept his own score. And what I mean by that is it wasn't the score that went on the scoreboard. It was the score that he called his performance points. And his performance points were things that he set up and he would keep score. He would actually have a student next to him on the bench. And Jake, for those of you that don't know him, he was, to a 14-year-old, probably the mix of an Army drill sergeant and a wrestler, with an absolutely booming voice. And he would have a student athlete next to him, and he'd be barking out these points. And you'd get positive points for offensive rebounds, or for steals, or for hustling and diving for loose balls. And likewise, you'd get points taken away for letting your defender get an offensive rebound, or losing the ball stolen away from you, or not hustling on defense, or giving up the baseline. And, I just remember being in 9th grade, on the basketball court, and I'd hear this, Moes, -2 baseline, Moes, -3 loafing. And I'm just sitting myself, I'm in the game, and I just hear this voice echo all through the court. And I'm just thinking to myself, loafing. I'll never get back to 0. It's impossible. And it was sort of, not to mention after a baseline and after loafing, I'm going to be sitting on the bench right next to him. But, it was absolutely amazing because all we want to do is kind of like just score points and make sure that we were trying to win the game. But an amazing thing really happened, I think, during the course of the year, is I saw teammates of mine run faster, work harder, and dive for more loose balls than I ever had before. I myself got more excited about seeing not the points I scored in the scorebook, but the offensive rebounds and the steals. And John, I think I did get some steals at St. Olaf, it just didn't hit the top 10. But those were really the points that made me exciting. And I wasn't the highest scorer in 9th grade, but I had the most performance points. And that was, to me, something that was really, really taught to me. And I think, as I look back at what 9th grade meant to me, is that was kind of a motivational point where it wasn't about how many points you scored. It was really about how you played the game. And it was about how hard you worked and what you left on the basketball court. And hopefully, you scored enough performance points to actually win the game. And I think through that hard work and through that lens, that did happen. I didn't realize at the time, but the simplicity of the approach is really apparent in my everyday life now. We all have roles to play within our teams. So, what better way to show that role that we all play is really by making sure that you're leveling the playing field and giving credit where credit's due. Doesn't matter if you score that basket or if you make that big presentation. How many people behind you really allowed that to happen? How many people hustled down the court? How many people dove for those loose balls and tied up those loose ends for you to accomplish what you needed to? And that was kind of the moral of the story for me. And it also taught me to really be passionate about basketball. It really taught me, that you're on the court representing your team. And, there's always somebody that could be faster, that could have more talent, that could work harder than you. So that always motivated me because, to be honest with you, and those of you that know me, I wasn't the tallest, I wasn't the fastest, I couldn't jump the highest, I couldn't shoot the most free throws, John. But what I did do and what I could do is I could go out every day and I could work really hard and I could dive for a lot of loose balls. And that's what I did. And as I fast forward 20 years from my college days,
where I find myself now working at Target is I'm in human resources, and I work with teams, and I work with leaders to assess their teams, and I work with leaders to assess their individuals, and I work with team members at Target to really maximize their potential, because I know that if we maximize individuals, you know what, the whole entire team's going to get better. And an analogy I use is that I will take, within a conference, an average set of guards and forwards and centers on one side versus the best guards or the best forwards or the best centers on the other team, and I'll take the team that knows exactly what each member of that team role really is, and a well-balanced team over the best athletes at one particular position. And that to me is something pretty amazing. As I close here tonight, I have a lot of people to thank, and I want to start first with my mom. You and Dad, I can't tell you how many hundreds and hundreds of basketball games you guys came to. One fond memory that we all have, or that I have, is on many, many St. Olaf games, you would bring just bags of groceries, which was absolutely amazing. I mean, it was like payday, Mom. Is what it was. And I just remember that, my roommates and I, we'd eat like kings for like at least 2, maybe 3 days, and then we go back to the cafeteria, which wasn't as good as what the cafeteria is now, it sounds like, but it was still really good. To my friends that are here tonight, your friendship now means as much to me now as it did in college, and it's been invaluable over the last 20 years, so thank you for being here tonight. It's absolutely amazing. To my wife Lisa, thank you for everything that you've done. We have 2 amazing children, in Ava and Emily. And, a little funny story there. So we have their cousin, Connor Henderson, is actually a first-year student. He plays football on the team. And after watching the Luther game, both Ava and Emily professed that they verbally have committed to St. Olaf now. So, so that would put them, I believe, in graduating class of 2025 and 2027. So it's a little bit of ways out, so hopefully, St. Olaf will accept them at that point in time. But, they both want to play sports, and what sport they'll play, we don't quite know yet. They don't quite know yet, but considering that they're still now sharing shoes with my wife because of the sizes that they're wearing, I'm betting basketball's probably going to be a pretty good bet. So, and lastly, St. Olaf, thank you for this amazing honor. Thank you to the athletic department. Thank you, Matt. It's been amazing. This is quite an honor for me, and I will remember it. So, thank you very much.